Yeah. Okay. All right, Facebookers, again, remember that we are live. So if you guys are here, throw me a hi or a wave. Good evening. I am Dawn Thompson, and welcome to the Truth Tribe. Thank you all for being here. And remember, as I tell you every week, you are all perfect exactly where you are in this moment right now. And that there is nothing wrong with you, no matter what people tell you, no matter what you're going through, there is nothing wrong with you. You're experiencing what your soul came to experience until you shift that experience right now. Okay. I love you all very much. Remember, I always, when I meditate, I'm pouring hearts onto you. I am meditating on you and giving you love. So all of you, I apologize first for who showed up last week, because you got probably a message that said we were having a Truth Tribe. And I apologize for not sending a cancellation notice. I kind of left in a hurry. But what's funny is I'm sharing this because this is how Mercury retrograde works. And people are always like, oh, it didn't really affect me, or it kind of did, or it kind of didn't. My sweet husband, he ordered me a new phone. He ordered us both new phones, right? And I didn't have time to activate it because I was in such a tizzy trying to get out the door and get everything done before I left. And so it caused, as I left the country, it caused my old phone not to work, right? So as I share with you guys, wondering what Mercury retrograde will do for you or to you, and it's not always for sure, right? When I say like avoid contracts, avoid purchasing new contracts, new electronics, new purchases during a Mercury retrograde, this is an example, right? And it's hit or miss because my husband's phone worked fantastic and mine glitched. So thus I didn't have an ability to be able to work through it. So those of you who did show up, I love you anyway. It was perfect. So let's talk tonight about the mandala effect. Are you having the mandala effect, and is it affecting you? Okay. And so where we're at right now, old paradigms and archaic belief systems. And I mean archaic meaning it can be affecting all of you in different ways, that archaic even to your own personal reality, your own personal life, your own things that you used to believe and you don't realize you're believing them anymore, or you're still holding on to them, or whatever the case may be, right? So old paradigms, old belief systems, archaic belief systems have to burn down to make way for your new reality, period. Right? So you are feeling right now, all of you are feeling this death and regeneration energy of two alternatives at the moment. Okay. You're either holding on to the box in reality of limitation. It's a limitation reality, and you don't know you're doing it, right? So I'm just bringing this up to you. Or you're burning that box in lieu of infinite possibilities. Like there's just infinite options, infinite possibilities, and you're open. Not quite sure how to interpret it sometimes, but you have those two options: limited box, infinite no box. Okay. And this is what's going on. So you can simply see it in a more visual perspective in relationships. And I mean in relationships that you currently or have always or just experienced recently, relationships that you dislike or that don't vibrate with you, because they are your mirror and they show up to view your shadow so that you can in fact heal. And we cannot heal. And again, I don't think you're ill. I don't think you're unwell, but we cannot heal and seal up all those leaking holes in our energy grid if we can't see it. So relationships, people, experiences show up simply to see the timeline of your hologram and what it's currently on. So we project an energy out that is a hologram, right? A holographic image of us into these realities. So being 100% aware, my friends, right now of what makes you happy, and being 100% transparent about that happiness or what it is to others is what's vital right now. It is so vital to send out your energy honestly, okay? And so your sonar is going to be felt if you're sending out that energy, no matter if it's shadow energy or light energy, right? And so you can manifest the mandala effects in your life without even realizing it or not. Okay. Being aware if you, or you might not even be aware of your thoughts that are pinging out and that are residing in your unwanted realities all around you. So how do you up your game? How do we up our game to see these realities that are in our space and we don't even realize it, right? Because remember, there's an infinite grid around you at all times. You are connected to the grid. You are connected to infinity. You are connected to longitude, latitude, all the way out to infinite realities. So if you think about that, the longitude, latitude that you think is just on the planet, it's not. It expands into multiple boxes and multiple realities. Okay. So how do we see these realities and shift into a higher consciousness? Are you shifting? I mean, I want to know, am I shifting into higher timelines? Because some days I'm like, God, I'm not doing very good. I'm not doing any better. I haven't raised myself. I haven't raised my vibration, etc., etc. So I wanted to know, am I raising my vibration into higher timelines? And I wanted you guys to be able to figure that out too. Asking yourself, am I shifting into higher timelines? Okay, and so what I want you to understand is the mandala effect. And the term mandala effect was first coined, so you can understand where this came from. And if you haven't heard of this, then you'll understand it. Was coined in 2009 by Fiona Broome when she created a website to detail her observance of the phenomenon, right, of the mandala effect. And she was at a conference and she was talking with other people how she remembered the tragedy of the South African president Nelson Mandela's death in South African prison in the 1980s. Okay. However, Nelson Mandela did not die in the 1980s in a prison. He passed away in 2013. And as she began to talk to other people about her memories, she learned that she wasn't alone. Others remembered seeing news coverage of his death as well as his speech by his widow. So she was shocked that such a large mass of people could remember the same identical event in such detail when it never happened, right? She then began this website that she built to discuss what she called the Mandela effect and other incidences that she listed that were just like it. So a couple examples that she had shared is like the location of New Zealand. Okay, where is New Zealand in relation to Australia? And if you look at a map, you'll see that it is the southeast of the country. However, there's a huge community of people who claim to remember New Zealand being the northeast instead of the southeast. Then one of my favorite books that I found this fascinating as well, and some of you may remember it, if you're old enough on here, is the book series, I should say, the Bernstein Bears. And so this famous children's book series of the Bernstein Bears is an example of the Mandela effect, because a lot of people report remembering the name being Bernstein Bears spelled with an E instead of an A. And you can see both versions of it. Some people actually have old books that have the E and now it has an A. So where did that happen, right? Then there's the movie of Shazam. One of the most well-known examples you guys can think of is a memory of a movie called Shazam, okay? And it starred, a lot of you all know, the comedian actor Sinbad. Do you all remember? In the 1990s. In fact, there is no such movie that exists called Shazam, right? There's a children's movie called Kazam, and some other coincidences that could help like you explain how this movie became created or remembered in people's minds. But there's no movie Shazam, even though people remember watching it. So there's a movie out there actually that explains this more in detail, the Mandala effect. The movie is called Mandala Effect. And I suggest you guys all go watch it to open your mind up a bit if you're not aware of this. And maybe you've heard the words, but you're like, how does that really work? How is that really affecting me? I think it was well done. It gets a little warped, so you have to open your mind. But for tonight's discussion, I wanted you guys to at least understand a little bit of it from the perspective of the quantum, right? The quantum field that you and I talk about all the time. Okay, so there's many forms to explain how the Mandela effect is happening, like distorted memories, false memories, or priming you like to think what you saw is what you were told to see, right? So there could be digital programming, all these things. So the more important option you can use to determine if you personally are shifting timelines. Okay, I want you to think of that. Am I shifting timelines as we're all energy, okay, and living in multiple realities at the same time, i.e. that grid that goes out to multiple dimensions of time. You have an infinite reality, an infinite piece of your frequency, your hologram that's sitting on all these intersections all over your infinite, should I call it, grid of energy. Okay, these timelines, and these are timelines that can be parallel, they're crisscrossing, they're all different ways, right? And so I bring this up because in order for you to determine if you're jumping and shifting timelines, we're all energy, right? And so we can jump and experience the same reality in many timelines that we wish to experience. It's being in control of the one that you want instead of the unwanted one, right? Alternate realities. So one theory that originates, you guys, from quantum physics, and it relates to the idea that rather than one linear timeline of events that we all think we've been on, alternate realities or universe are taking place and mixing with this timeline that we're on. Okay, so in theory, this would result in groups of people having the same memories because the same timeline is being altered as we all shift between these different realities. Okay, are you following me? So you're not alone if you think this sounds like this is totally unrealistic, right? Like this sounds super like out there, Dawn, but I'm trying to stretch you all. Okay, so unfortunately and fortunately, the idea of alternate realities is unfalsifiable, which means there is no way to disprove that these other universes out in the galaxy do not exist. There's no way to prove it or disprove it. So this is why a far-fetched theory continues to gain all this energy and traction and viewpoints to look at it. You can't prove it's not real, so you can't discount the possibility of it. Now, I truly feel it because I've been testing it, right? And because it turns out, if you think of it this way, our brains are actually like radio receivers, okay? Learning to balance your mental muscle, which was today's IDI. So if you guys got the, if you're not on the IDI, just go sign up. You all should be on it. Learning to balance your mental muscle as an antenna to open up our dormant abilities that have been there all along, right? Our entire lifetime, to see and to feel other perspectives accordingly and accurately, to receive the decoding and to transmit energy from like a consciousness level, like to feel things, to feel where you are, to know that you're in an alternate reality, yet you're still here. It's kind of like, warped and kind of like, pulling your brain out and go, wait a minute, what I used to know and the old paradigm isn't the new like it's hard, right? So emotional relationships, because you're an emotional being, are what are triggering you, and they trigger you the fastest, and they are the clearest sign that you will still have, when you do have them in this reality you're in now, unhealed traumas or lower energies residing with your energy grid. Okay, so whether you see beauty or you see purity in another person or a situation or experiences, you see the beastly heavy energies. It's also a reflection of what you may still be holding, like somewhere within yourself, somewhere within your grid. And remember, the grid can go out and it also comes back into your energy field. So in order to begin the healing process, to pay attention, it's important to focus on paying attention more so than anything to your thoughts and the bodily reactions when the trigger occurs. Try to understand, like when someone reacts to you, or if someone shows up, and I should say, and you react to that energy field, right? Understand that if is it coming because it's due to a past situation, one of those timelines, multiple generations or timelines with them, or is it a present experience? Or is it the lack of something? Because lack of something is in that boxed reality, lack boxed thinking. Observe yourself and the responses that are coming to you, and have like super compassion. Don't be judgmental of yourself, right? Have compassion and not judgment, and see what is being presented as an opportunity instead of a challenge. And this is where I'm trying to open you guys up to an opportunity to see the quantum field. So these are my 2 tips to manifest desired realities that you want to live in, and how to evaluate if you're shifting into new timelines. So number 1, in your journal, you all know I'm all about meditative journaling. One thing that I've realized that helps is to start writing backwards. So if you can't write backwards, like write this direction, right? Write at the start backwards and start to strengthen and balance the brain to see it in the mirror of consciousness, to understand that we experience life through symbols and not the actual writing or speaking or viewing process. Okay. So we're interpreting symbols in everything we do and experiencing it at all times. So simply start, if you have a hard time writing backwards, write at the back of your journal. Start at the back and move forward instead to the front. Do things in the mirror or in the upside down to interpret your old patterns. The reason I say that is because it will disrupt how you've always done things. So number 1, start by writing backwards. Okay. Number 2, ask the universe to start sending you mandala effects to show you that you've jumped parallel universes. I've been doing this for the last week, several days, or within the last week, I should say, more so than anything. Why? And we're going to talk about in a minute of what just happened the full moon. Because I was struggling, I've been struggling with the last 3 days, why I'm bringing those 3 days up, with the migraines. I've been having these really intense migraines. And so I wasn't on my phone a whole lot. Okay. But I was frustrated. I was like super frustrated because I came home refreshed and loving my trip and I had such a good time. And then I was feeling so miserable. Right. And so I asked my spirit guides to send me signs that I've jumped timelines, or to send me evidence of this mandala effect, that I was in a different timeline, or I was going to move, removing myself from this pain timeline, this lack and thinking I couldn't get over it timeline. Okay. Someone's telling me it was a sign to go back to Jamaica. Probably. So anyway, what happened is I looked at, I don't know what I was doing, fumbling around on my phone. And y'all know when you get the little marker, the little red marks, the numbers that tell you you have a message, right? So I looked at the red messages on my home screen on my phone, and the messages of my email said 1,777. And I was like, awesome, this is a good sign, because 777 means expect more miracles to occur, right? So I was all excited. I was like, okay, cool. This makes me feel so good. I'm not going to feel this miserable for a long time. Right. And so then an hour later, I looked at the phone again, and the number on those emails was 869 messages. I did not delete a single email. I didn't even open the phone. It was sitting there, and I went to look at it, and I was like looking for my 777 because I still had a headache. And I was like, whoa. And so I knew that I hadn't deleted them. I knew I hadn't opened them, yet it was a lesser number and totally different number than I saw. And it was the coolest thing. Why? Because I had just asked for it, right? And so they were trying to show me a visual presence of jumping timelines. And so I want you guys to all understand is that most humans are so caught into the physicality of reality. And so presence requires you to release past and the future. Okay. You have to be present for right now, this now moment. Being here now is you becoming aware of your energy field and knowing that this energy field just moved to a different energy field. Okay. So pay attention to energy and not physicality. The physicality is revealing your energy. The physical is simply an example of your antenna in your mind sending out sonar to respond back to you in a mirror effect. And it will show you many timelines of the same experience until you choose the one you prefer. So if you want to be miserable and you keep saying you're miserable and you don't feel good, you're going to get there. Okay. Choose your reality and hold your light to those thoughts. It may not feel good for a moment, but when I shifted it, I opened my mindset, I opened to other realities. I said, this is the reality I want. Other things showed up to help me clear it. And that's what I'm trying to share with you guys is we get caught in thinking, oh, this migraine is going to be for the rest of my life. It feels like that in the moment, instead of choosing the universe to say, I want proof that this is actually an evolution and not a demotion. Does that make sense? So when we add to this, that is a Mandela effect. Remember, 2 ways to check your frequency and your ascension levels: right backwards, even without your journal, right backwards, and ask the universe to send you Mandela effect signs, show you that you've jumped parallel universes, okay? The planetary update, okay? So last Friday was a lunar eclipse, full moon in Scorpio. I know you're all feeling it, and you're still feeling it just 3 days later, right, from Friday. And you're going to feel that full moon because it was an intense lunar eclipse for up to about 6 months, okay? Eclipses lead us to destiny. So if you don't wake up to see your new spiritual direction or what you want to choose or the timeline or the reality you want to live in, and I mean down to your emotions, down to what you're accepting, down to how you want to live, your vision, if it's not clean and clear, be prepared to get dragged there, like it or not, because Pluto and Scorpio are all about transformation. And so on the 5th, May 5th was last Friday, grand finale. Okay. The grand finale happened of so much quantum energy, right? It was shifting because it was closure energy in Scorpio, which again it was all about purging, the eviction, the evacuation from what we've been carrying around for so long. Old stagnant stories and energy like that since probably 2020, if not before, maybe your whole lifetime, that you wanted to let go of. So if you were prepared and you guys have been doing the work, and many of you have, you already knew that you had to let go, right? If you didn't let go, now you know it's time, things are going to start crumbling. You'll either let them or you're feeling things crumble on you because you didn't let go. Things that you've been grasping onto. We've been in a very fixed, frustrating energy for the last 2 years specifically. And it's the feeling as if we haven't been moving or we haven't been changing, right? This stalling and setback feeling of life was like moving too slow, that we felt like we weren't getting anywhere. We weren't getting where we wanted to get to. Okay. So this was because of several things. The North Node was in Taurus, a fixed sign. South Node was in Scorpio, a fixed sign. Aquarius was in Uranus, a fixed sign, right? Or I'm sorry, Saturn was in Aquarius. Uranus was in Taurus. I mean, there's a lot of pressure to let go when this all shifted in March. And collectively, we've become a little bit more flexible and adaptive and opening up. So clearly, we're always going to have you're always going to have rough patches, Mercury retrogrades and whatever retrogrades, right? But in 2023, we're going to experience different things that are a lot lighter and shifting than the last 3 years. It's going to be a lot lighter. It already is. We just don't like the ripping apart, which I've prepared you guys for all the way up to this point. Okay. We've had, with this full moon lunar eclipse, it was to see how we have changed or remain the same, right? So full moons are actually very lucky because we get the benefits of seeing what we don't want to see and go, oh, okay, I see it now. It was a benefit. It was helping you. So if you've been letting go and you've been embracing the change, you may not even want to, you might not even feel the eclipse symptoms, right? In some major significant way, because you've been doing the work, and that's awesome. Okay. You might feel like the universe is rewarding you for like good behavior. You're like, yeah, you did a good job. Right. So that could be happening as well. And so don't take all this as doom and gloom. I don't, right. Good things have been showing up for me, headache or no headache. Right. So anything goes on an eclipse, especially in Scorpio, the planet of death and regeneration, transformation. Expect radical changes. Expect things to change, such as engagements, pregnancies, accidents, breakups, random in and out encounters, announcements, career changes, health changes. It's all divine and it's all on time. So from this full moon 3 days ago, expect effects now through the next 6 months. Just expect it. Okay. Letting go and leveling up. That's what's happening, all this energy. So shocking secrets are going to get revealed, whether it's personal secrets or global secrets are going to get revealed. The moon also rules mom. So maybe possible mama drama, might come up, or mama drama, like you find out someone's pregnant around you and she's having a dramatic effect. It could be all of that mama stuff, right? Intense emotions and low energy. I've been having the low energy, paranoia, suspicion, eye rolls, like, oh gosh, that kind of stuff, right? Karmic completion and transformation. That's what you're all feeling, okay? So how well you are devoted to care for your personal energy, which is what I was talking about earlier. Are you devoted to your thought patterns in the here, right now moment? Are you focused on that? Consciousness. Are you focused on your consciousness? Are you focused on your well-being day to day? How well you're doing that will determine how you're impacted by the incoming energetic planetary awakening shifts as we go forward, period. And so everyone's like, well, I don't know the planets. I don't see the energy. You don't have to. You can feel it. You can feel everything forcing us to make changes, forcing us to let go of shit that doesn't work for us anymore. Paradigm belief systems that are archaic and old and stupid and never benefited you from the beginning have kept you boxed and limited, small mindset. Okay, so the upgrades that are going to keep happening from this point forward are going to get stronger and stronger. So being awake and then not helping yourself with TLC will be a hard lesson for many people. Okay, because they're like, well, I know, I see everything that's happening. I'm aware of everything that's happening. I'm aware of the crumbling of all the boxes in reality, but they're not shifting their own selves. They're not changing. You can see it, but if you're not changing your own energy, and I mean in a loving way, I don't mean to hurt anybody. So I'm suggesting that you guys get to it, okay, and start your TLC practice. And it just can be small. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be major, it can just be little things to help you, whether you want to travel, whether you need to take care of your health, whether you need to start saving more and investing in yourself in different ways, and or you want to move. Just little baby steps. Go onto an account or go look and see what you need to do to find the next place. Maybe you want to shift the way your kids learn. You want to teach them a different education system. Whatever it is, start small and put TLC, loving care, into that. Okay. Lastly, again, back to what I started with on the call. Mercury retrograde. It will be over on the 15th of May. Okay. So that's Monday. So in a week from now, that is the last day it goes into retrograde. On the 16th, it stations, it stops on the 15th, and then 16th, it starts moving forward again. But remember, we have a shadow window after that. So it doesn't mean it's going backwards anymore, but it will just be dragging, right? So if you can wait another week before major decisions, major contracts, anything like that, or at least just open the door to researching, that's great, okay? But you just might feel that energy shift into a little bit more into like the 20th-ish, okay? So just remember, you have a week more of revisiting, reviewing, and revising your new approach to things, right? So a good idea would be to clean your house, clean your closet, clean your desk, clean your cars, clean your garages, right? Let go of old energy. I cleaned out my entire office closet this weekend and it felt so good. Like it was like all this heavy stagnant energy was in the office and in the closet and it was everywhere. And I felt like weighted down by it. So I just sat, played on an audiobook and listened to this audiobook while I shredded and I organized and I cleaned and I walked out and I just felt so much lighter. That's what you have for the next week and a half. Let's just say 10 more days, okay? To find whatever it is that's weighted. And it could be an internal weight of emotional or physical detoxing in your body, okay? All right, guys, right here, tap into your heart, your thymus frequency, raise your energetic frequency here. I am courage, I am love, I am truth. Again, I am courage, I am love, I am truth. You're tapping into the energy grid every time you tap into that thymus, because it is your immune center. Okay. Remember that. So for the next week, I'd say even weeks, make your purging to-do list. And number 2, I want you to ask your guides to send you mandala effect signs to know that you're shifting, because you're all shifting. I know you're all shifting. I can see you all shifting. I feel you all shifting. You just are looking at it from old paradigms, and we don't realize it until we get clear and centered and go, okay, I need to see proof that I've shifted a paradigm, that I jumped a paradigm. Sometimes you guys will feel it like a whoosh in your brain, like kind of lightheaded, or like you kind of like were forgetful. Sometimes you'll feel like, wait, what was I thinking? What was I going to go do? You might go get your phone and go like to Google something, and you're like, wait, well, that's a shift. That's a mandala effect. That's a shift in reality. Okay. It's happening a lot. It's just sometimes you don't know what's happening. So if you ask for the universe and your spirit guides to help you, they'll make it like me. What happened for me, which was a number or a physical thing or something that was there before. You're like, wait a minute, that was there before. The last time I was here, I didn't move it, and now it's over there. Or it's gone completely, which means you shifted realities, and it will be in your own environment. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? All right. So I'm going to open up to Q&A. We don't have a long call tonight, but this is really important because I wanted you guys to understand you are shifting. You just are having a hard time realizing it. Who has heavy, old, or unexpected emotional energy appearing? Okay. Anybody want to share with that? Or questions about what is shifting for you, or what you've noticed, or is it the shifting of timelines and realities, and how it's affecting you? Okay. Some of you are feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, confused. A lot of breakups are happening, I'm watching right now, and we're not liking it. My answer is, don't take it so black and white. Sometimes things have to break in order to come back together. It doesn't mean they won't even come back together. It just means sometimes you have to let it break in order to see the reality shift that it can get to together. Because nothing that's meant to be will not come back together. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see. Oh, hi, beautiful. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I moved to Maui. Oh, we're coming to visit. So one of our local Truth Tribe members, friends, we're all going to go visit her. She has moved to Maui on May 1st. I have been enjoying the process of shifting, time travel, etc. My heart has been open wide to opportunities. She says, yes, please come visit. We all will come visit you. Oh my gosh. Now, this is a perfect example of shifting timelines. She has literally uprooted her entire reality and moved to an entirely different part of, let's call it longitude, latitude. I mean, this is a big jump. Okay. So she's trusting the energy, she says, which is her feel. She's getting pulled there. Now, let's just say in 5 years, she's like, I don't want to be here anymore. She can jump and move to Jamaica or Costa Rica or wherever she wants. And that's the beauty of this, is she's trusting where she's being pulled in the now moment. And I love that. Her soul is on fire, she says. So I applaud you, Jamie. That is amazing and truly remarkable that you've made that shift, because a lot of people would be so stuck in this old reality. Have you noticed any timeline shifts that you're noticing? Yes, so she's noticing it. And how are you noticing it? Are you able to share that with us? Let's see, as she's probably typing for this, I'm going to give you guys another one that's coming in here. This next question says, why would the Mandela effect? You guys are always asking me this funny part. She's saying hard to describe. It is hard to describe. That's why this is why I've given you guys, ask your spirit guides to give you examples or signs of the Mandela effect, like a visual representation, so you know you've done it. She feels high, but she's not. That's a good example of it. Okay. But have them show you physical reality shifts in your own world. Okay. Someone's asking for clarity in their dreams. Good. Okay. So this one says, why would it not be taught? Okay. Because it would give your power back to determine your own reality at any time by tapping into a higher reality, right, of the 5D. Or the higher you are, remember, you're no longer a slave in this box. The 3D realm has been a box and you've been enslaved in what you've been told to do your entire reality. Most of you, most of us, their entire life, you know, how many thousands of lifetimes have we lived on this planet in enslavement? Okay. I don't care how big or small you've lived, it's still been enslaved. Where we're going is a whole new reality. Okay. So your discontinuation of enslavement is why it's not taught, because they don't want you to not be enslaved to the box. Okay. So the discontinuation of that is the entire reason you are living at this time, at this place on earth. Okay. To find your God consciousness perfection and to live the reality that you guys desire, not one of suffering and sacrifice. So her desire is to live in a space of truly paradise in Hawaii. And so she shifted and went and did it. It's exactly what's been happening to me in my same reality. And the ability to write and shift and create these downloads that I'm getting. And I don't know what to do with all the information. So it's just coming out on paper, writing backwards, literally. So this is why it's not that it's not taught. It's just that I'm teaching you. It's that many teachers are teaching this. Okay. So someone says, all I had to do recently was be happy. And it so shocked my family and friends who are not there yet. That is another Mandala effect. They didn't know who she was, right? They were probably like, who is this? And what are we doing? And that's not a reality we know. So that was a shift in an old paradigm, right? An old reality shift. That's amazing. I feel like I've been here before doing this, but I have not. This is my first time. The feeling is strong to my core. My creativity is flowing strong. I love it. I love it. You guys are experiencing this. Now, again, we're talking through this, so you're understanding, but every single one of you on this phone call, on this live call, you're all experiencing timeline shifts. You're all raising your frequency. Every time you're on this call, I am raking you up to an awakening of, where am I? Where am I right now? Who am I right now? Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. So it's all of you understanding that if you can just be present right now to understand, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And it may not be who you've been with, the family you've been with, the marriage you've been in, or the relationship you've been in, or many relationships you've been in, or the career you've been in, or as she just shared. So thank you for so much for sharing, Jamie, or the physical longitude, latitude, geographical location that you've been in. It may be to shift that, and it may not be forever, because remember, in the quantum field, all time is irrelative. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant of time and space. And this is the thing I've been noticing. There is no time and space when you're shifting on these timelines, and you're all going to notice that. Have you all noticed how fast and slow time goes? Like all of a sudden I'm getting so much done in the amount of time that took me forever before. It's weird, but cool. That's timeline jumping. Creativity doesn't mean arts and crafts. Oh, I know this she's so funny. I have chosen to create the life I've dreamed of. That's creativity. And we've talked about this. You have to creatively choose the timeline you want. It's amazing. Let's see. It's moving so fast, but still in the now. It is. It's cool. Okay, so let's see. This says, what does writing backwards do for us? Do we write what we don't want or what we want? Okay, so that makes sense. I'm sorry I did not clarify that earlier. Always write what you want. And then the backwards is more, I'm trying to give you physical, I'm trying to help you see what you can't see and create it into what you can see. Okay, so this is always my intention. Taking what you can't see and creating a reality for you, even though there is no reality because it's all a quantum holograph. Okay, So always write what you want. And then the backwards writing is to interrupt your habitual thinking of lack in multiple realities and multiple lifetimes. That's why the backwards writing. I would just tell you to write it forward if I knew you wouldn't get yourself into habituation. Habituation is when we get so habituated, it's when you listen to a passing train by your house, or a dripping faucet, or a fan, and you don't hear tick, 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 tick every time the fan's going. You don't hear it anymore. That's habituation. And so every time you write forward, you don't hear that it incorporates old patterns of what you're writing. But if you write backwards, you actually have to be present to write that way, because you have to focus on it. You have to be intentional. Okay. It'll start shifting your reality, as well as the 369 reality that we talked about 2 or 3 calls ago, a couple calls ago, right? Okay. Does that make sense, everyone? Does that help you? I want to make sure I'm being very clear about this. There's nothing right or wrong how you do any of this. The really big awakening I want you all to have really was this asking your spirit guides to bring you more connected and having mandala effect signs, right? Does that make sense? So I want to make sure you all know that, is to say, okay, I want my guides to give me a physical sign that I've been, now, because I asked them, they're doing it a lot. Like my guides are like, yeah, here's one, and here's one, and here's one. So it wasn't just the 777. It was such a mind blow for me, but it wasn't just the seeing those, the 1,777. It was multiple experiences that I've shared with a couple people, because it was mind blowing for me. And even the other side is talking to me in multiple realities. So you all are doing the same thing. I just want you to have clarity that it's happening. And when it does, smile. Just smile and go, that was cool, because you'll keep doing it. And it means you're going to keep shifting the consciousness of reality that you want to live in, and not one you're being told to live in. Cool? Yeah? Okay. All right, my friends. That's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. I'm going to have you all test yourselves. If you're on Instagram, or if you're on Facebook tonight as well. If you don't follow me on Instagram or YouTube, remember to subscribe, because I do live minis. If you miss those, you'll be able to get the subscription. It'll ping you or ding you to the additional videos I post weekly. Because a lot of you will say, oh, I missed your live Instagram. It gets posted to YouTube. So they're typically only 5 to 15 minutes, but whatever I talk about in the week, that Instagram will get posted to YouTube. Some of you aren't on Instagram, so it'll go to the YouTube. If you're on there and you're not on Instagram, one or the other, you will be able to see both. So FYI, just make sure you are subscribing to both of those, and that will give you the extra info right there. As well as, remember, those of you on Truth Tribe and Warrior Pass, if you want to start listening to these when you miss them, a lot of you are asking me, I missed this, Dawn, what do I do? Go onto the podcast. Right. And you can just listen to it wherever you want. It's on Spotify, but it is on your Truth Tribe dashboards. So any of you can listen whenever you want. All you have to do is go in and listen to it and tap the audio. If you miss the live and you can't watch, no big deal. You can listen as well while you're doing your backwards writing. So anyway, I love you all very much. Thank you for joining me. I love you. You guys have the brightest blessings, and I'll see you on Monday. You guys have a good night.